kadib markii dhawaan uu ku dhawaaqay erayo gaf ah madaxweyne ku-xigeenkii hore ee dalkani Kenya Rigathi Gachagua si adagna uu u weeraray qoomiyadda Soomaalida oo uu ku tilmaamay in ay tuuga yihiin waliba Soomaalida degan gobolka Minnesota ee dalka Mareykanka waxa si adag uga falceliyay una jawaabay xildhibaanada dalkani Kenya ee Soomaalida ah waxa ay ku tilmaameen Rigathi Gachagua oo horey u soo noqday madaxweyne ku-xigeenka dalkani Kenya in hadalka uu ku dhawaaqay in uu yahay mid sal iyo raatoona aan lahayn. Gachagua ayaa waxa uu sheegay in Soomaalidu ay yihiin kuwa tuuga ah sidoo kalena ganacsiyada kala duwan ee dalka Kenya ay ka samaystaan ay ku sameeyeen lacagihii ay ka soo xadeen dalka Mareykanka isagoo sidoo kale madaxweynaha dalka Mareykanka Donald Trump ugu baaqay in uu soo farageliyo dalka Kenya isla markaana uu ku sameeyo wixii uu ku sameeyay dalka Venezuela. Rigathi Gachagua ayaa sidoo kale waxa uu ka hadlay ama uu ka dhawaajiyay in moolka weyn ee ganacsiga ee BBS Mall la yiraahdo ee ku yaala xaafadda Islii ee Soomaalidu ay degto ee Nairobi in lacagta lagu dhisay ay tahay lacagtii laga soo xaday gobolka Minnesota iyadoo geesta kale gobolka Minnesota ee dalkaasi Mareykanka ay ka taagan tahay xaalad adag iyo sidoo kale dhibaatooyin kala gedisan oo dadka Soomaaliyeed markaasi ay wajahayaan. Maamulka Donald Trump ayaa waxa ay markani qaateen qorshaha in Soomaalida gebi ahaanba laga masaafuriyo dalkaasi Mareykanka kadib khiyaano qaran oo markaasi lagu eedeeyay iyo musuq baahsan oo gobolkaasi Minnesota ka dhacay. Soomaalida ayaa waxa ay noqdeen kuwa bartilmaameed gooni ah laga dhigto iyaga oo sidoo kale markani la keenay in ka badan 2,000 oo ciidamo federaal ah oo kuwa socdaalka kuwaas oo la rabo in dadka ay ka raafaan gobolkaasi Minnesota iyo sidoo kale gobolka Ohio. Haddaba daawadayaal xildhibaanada Soomaalida ee dalkani Kenya ayaa si adag uga jawaabay arrintaas uu ku dhawaaqay Rigathi Gachagua madaxweyne ku-xigeenkii hore ee dalkani Kenya isaga oo markaasi ka been sheegay Soomaalida Kenya ku dhaqan iyo waliba kuwa Mareykanka ku dhaqan isaga oo dawladda Mareykanka ugu baaqay in Soomaalida meel kasto ay joogto tuugnimadaasi ay ku kacdo. Waxa sidoo kale uu weeraray madaxweynaha dalkani Kenya Dr. William Samoei Ruto isaga oo ku tilmaamay in lacagaha Mareykanka laga soo dhacayo uu isagu rabo inuu ku campaign gareysto sanadka soo socda ee 2027. bal waxaan jeclahay daawadayaal qaabkii ay uga falceliyeen xildhibaanada Soomaalida ee dalkani Kenya oo ay ka mid yihiin Faarax Macalin Xaaji Dawaare Yusuf Xasan Cabdi iyo sidoo kale Maxamed Cadow. bal waa kuwane aynu wada dheehano.
In Mogadishu, when the Americans with all their sophistication and might wanted to take one General Farah Mohammed Aidid, the one thing you can never try in the Horn of Africa is to try and do that. Americans learned their lesson, the international community learned its lesson, and not a single president of ours, not a single leader of our country will be placed by anybody else. We don't care whether you're a superpower, and nobody will ever try. As long as we have Kenyans with the guts, and we have many of them who have the guts, including all of us who are here now addressing you today, nobody is going to mess with us because they think we are a subhuman. No. If it has happened in other countries, if it has happened in Libya, it has happened in Iraq, it has happened in other places, I can assure you one thing, it will never happen in Kenya. It will never happen in Kenya. And we are willing to shed every drop of blood of every citizen of this country before we can be treated to that kind of embarrassment. No. We became independent, and our independence was born out of the struggle for freedom of Kenyans. Anybody ambaye anawatafuta wazungu kwenda kwa lamba aende atafute hapo kwingine, sio hapa Kenya. We are proud people. We're a proud nation, and we have the capacity to protect ourselves from any external threat, regardless of how powerful that external threat is. Even if it's a nuclear power, we are confident of ourselves.
I would like to use this opportunity to set the record straight insofar as Eastleigh and the BBS mall is concerned. First of all, let me say that the overwhelming majority of Somalis in Kenya are law-abiding, peace-loving citizens who have lived in harmony with other communities and their neighbors. They hold no grudge or hatred against any community in our country. We are scattered all over Kenya, and we live very peacefully and harmoniously with all our compatriots. Let me first say, first of all, that the BBS was established by a group of visionary and extraordinary entrepreneurs and investors, majority of whom happen to be Somalis. These investors saw the opportunity and the potential of putting a major business or enterprise in Kenya. And they chose Nairobi, and in particular, Eastleigh. Their action was a vote of confidence in the future of our country. And they poured billions of shillings of their hard-earned resources into our economy, providing employment to our people, paying millions in tax revenue to the state, and lifting up our national GDP. Since its inception, the BBS Mall has raised the economy, profile, and reputation of our neighborhood, our city, and our country. It has become a source of pride and success to the people who call Eastleigh home, not only the Somalis, but the thousands of other people whom we share space with in our neighborhood. It predates the Minneapolis fraud cases, a highly politicized, weaponized situation which involves many other members of other nationalities, colors, and communities, but has become a cause célèbre to frame and scapegoat the Somali community in the US and beyond. Bashing Somalis, be they here in Kenya or the United States, has become a blood sport. And peddling propaganda, disinformation, and damn lies is the latest game trending on the social media. Therefore, we have come together to debunk that concept. We can no longer ignore the systematic and sustained barrage of ill advice and unjustified attacks that targets a whole community. Keeping silence is not acceptable anymore. Degrading, denigrating, demonizing, and destroying the name, the character, and the reputation of a whole community is unacceptable. And today we're here to say, stop the demonization, stop the bashing of Somalis, and let us stand up together to condemn those who are peddling fear, those who see the Somalis as other, and who have come to learn to hate others. Which is why we as leaders have to take a stand. We must take a stand against xenophobia and the growing tide of Somaliphobia, and against the corrosive power of hate. Before it is too late, we want to say that all it takes for evil to flourish is for good people to do nothing about it. So we must stop now, and we must expose those leaders who are bent on dividing our community, creating divisions that might push our country to the edge and eventually over a cliff.
I really pity those who look up to the former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua for leadership. And I think the man has abandoned reasoning of late. With his latest outburst, what he's calling for and what he's doing is generously offering Kenya as an open-air crime scene where foreign powers can come and conduct Venezuela-like attacks or raids. But what he should know is that Kenya is not a failed state. Kenya is not Venezuela. And this coming from the man who until recently occupied the second most powerful office in the land is really unfortunate. What he is doing to the Somali community is nothing short of dehumanization. We've seen dehumanization before. We've seen it in Rwanda before the genocide. We've seen it elsewhere. What Rigathi Gachagua is doing to the Somali community is dehumanization, and we'll call it by its name. And we need him to cease. The Somali community is operating legal businesses in this country. Hardworking entrepreneurs who are setting up in creative ways all kinds of enterprises, obeying the law, paying their taxes, now calling upon foreign powers to come and attack these people, associating legal businesses with frauds that have happened long after the alleged frauds that have
Nobody has proved anything.
Alleged frauds conducted by people of all nationalities in a land so far away as the United States. I mean, I think just echoing what my colleague said, Rigathi Gachagua needs to have a long conversation with professionals who help people regain their reasoning.
And Somalis contribute almost 70% of those remittances. Forget about the diaspora European countries. Kenyans who are working in Somalia alone are contributing 70 million remittances to this country per day. That is for a fact. Go and check. Very much. I'll also want from the word go to strongly condemn the statements made by one Rigathi Gachagua concerning the Somali community, the Somali investors in this country, and the enterprising Somali businessmen, including one of the and women, including the institutions like the Icon PBS Mall, which is actually one of its kind in East and Central Africa. I would say we have a word for such kind of a man in Somali. You know, we call such people Kagle. You know, Kagle is somebody who's loudmouth and who engages his mouth without engaging his brain. And they are very noisy, very loud mouth, but they don't have any substance in what they say. It is unfortunate that somebody who was a deputy president for about 2 years in this country, and somebody who was just a heartbeat away from the presidency, would utter consistently divisive words, divisive rhetorics against a particular community. And actually, if you talk of remittances, the other day the president told us actually the remittances from outside this country are becoming one of the major foreign income earners. And Somalis contribute almost 70% of those remittances. Forget about the diaspora European countries. Kenyans who are working in Somalia alone are contributing 70 million remittances to this country per day. That is for a fact. Go and check. 70 million Kenya shillings per day is what the Somalis who are living and working in Somalia, Kenyans who are living and working in Somalia are contributing to the economy of this country. Isli, which is the main business hub run by Somalis, is actually contributing 30% of the total income of taxes that Nairobi collects. 30% of taxes that Nairobi collects comes from Isli. And if you want to bastardize that community, which contributes that immense contribution to the economy of this country, then there is something wrong with your head, like most of us have said. I know somebody said the other day in one of the meetings that he's being targeted because of saying Ruto one term. Actually, Somalis are being targeted for saying the opposite. We are being targeted for saying Ruto 2 term. And we will not shy away from saying 2 term.